as you can see right here, Michael Jackson worked so hard, from dance rehearsals to, just preparations just for videos in the dance rehearsals. That is what you see right here, first and foremost, the dance rehearsals for the Thriller video. A lot of hard work and dedication, amongst with preparation has been, taking place of, making the Thriller video. Because you got to think about it. The Thriller video, if you could pay attention to the movements and just, the choreography, the dance choreography, you know, throughout the whole video, just with people learning, like, as far as like, this just go so far as to say is the steps, being the main ingredient, the importance of, the whole video. And because that's basically what, what videos is basically made off of. You remembering your moves. And it was a lot of moves, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of moves in the Thriller video. And I must say, man, me looking at that, I don't even think that, I just want to know what the length of the time duration, for the preparation for the Thriller video. I mean, if you give me like 2 or 3 weeks, cool. But a couple of days, nah. So it just really shows you, how much, Michael put within the craft of his work. Just his work ethic alone. It was basically just, him just, spending countless times in the studio, not just the music, studio we record and with the songs, but the dance studios, that being exact. A lot of time put in with, the just trying to remembering, the steps in the movement with the character, because he played like the villain, horror type of character in that video. If y'all ain't never seen the video, y'all saw the video, Thriller video, you know exactly what I'm talking about, because the girl, thought that he was, her boyfriend. But at the end of the video, you see, when Michael smiles, and he's actually like kind of like a zombie / werewolf, because, you can see the teeth, peeking out from when he smiled, the wolf teeth, from when he had, looked back at the camera. She didn't notice. But this video was shot, I want to say, Thriller video was shot in 1983 of October. And what better month to shoot the video in than in October, right? Because it's definitely a Halloween type of, vibe and approach and look, everything, maintaining with this video. And Michael Jackson, of course, and Thriller was released in November of 1982. It was shot in, now they say it was released in 82. The album was released in 82. But the video was released the Thriller video was released in 83. And Michael Jackson was 24 years of age. But I want to say that the recording sessions for Thriller, the album, took place in early 1982 when, Michael Jackson was 23 years old. But he turned 24, during the recording process. And the album was released in November of 1982 when he was 24. So, having the feeling of people saying, like, what was it like, with Michael Jackson being in the studio recording Thriller, we had some people go on so far as to say that it was like the whole world was finally in agreement about something, and as a result, there was dancing and singing everywhere. And of course, of the stricter religious countries, it was banned. But then the teens, they found a way to get the album or bootleg it and partied quietly along with the rest of the earth. That's how much of an impact that Thriller, the album, which turned into a classic, one of the greatest albums ever to be made. That's the type of impact it had on people from other countries, from other different religions. No matter what the situation is or what the circumstance, they found a way to get that album no matter what it took. And the thing also about Michael is that when it comes down to him making music, he didn't try to just overdo, overexert his ways of how he make music. Like, he didn't try to make as many songs as he could possible. He tried to make sure he made the best songs possible. And that's the difference between, him and Prince, I would say. Prince, he'll put out so many, songs, so much music to the point it's like, is he in competition with himself of trying to, put out so much music, and which was, good, but and the songs was good, but Michael was more of a like quality over quantity instead of quantity over quality. I feel like Prince was more, Prince had quality, but I feel like it was more of the quantity over the quality because he put out so much in so, a little time with his music. And Michael was more of the quality. It was more of the, the sound, the vibrations, the strings, and just the message that's sent across. And, Michael was very, picky with how he wanted his music to sound. And that where it kind of like put you up to, to mind is that, whenever he did or recorded a song, it was going to be made sure that it was, made to top tier. And that's exactly what he did throughout each album. He made sure that it was, top tier with sounds and just, everything that, the story behind it. Everything had to be where it was supposed to be as far as like for him and for him to be, satisfied with it enough to be like, okay, I'm ready to release this. That's the type of, thought process and how the way Michael moved when it came to, him putting out, music and making sure that he putting out the best quality of that music. And with Thriller and him, always making sure that there's no slip ups or hiccups within, how he records or, whether it's in rehearsals, dance rehearsals. It was always to be made sure that, we got to strive for perfection. If anything, we have to strive for perfection when we, taking upon any projects that's associated, with an album or a video. And because they already knew that the video and the album was going to be worldwide, it was going to be global, it was going to be the biggest of its kind. So it was important and just like a major factor that everyone had to make sure that they was on their job. They had to make sure that they was all on the same page because if any one small hiccup, it could kind of affect, the room. So that's why it was so important for Michael to make sure that, striving for perfection and just, you know, always making sure, at least trying to make sure that you know, don't miss any steps. Always make sure that you are on key with everything that's involving with Michael Jackson, because they knew that this was going to blow up and be, like I said, the biggest of its kind. And that dance rehearsal, it started from there until them shooting the video with Thriller. So I just wanted to make sure that I make that piece real quick. This is the story, the behind the scenes, story on the making of Thriller, the dance rehearsals, and so on. Long live Michael Jackson, the GOAT. And I'll continue making videos about this, Michael Jackson, in general. So y'all subscribe to the channel, like the video. Sensei's Reality. One love. Peace.